right. Yay. Welcome, Jill, to the show, coming live all the way from Puerto Rico.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, first of all, we need to talk about the fact that you live in Puerto Rico and you're about to move to
To the Cayman Islands.
Oh my gosh. Okay. When did you guys leave the States? Why?
Well, I'm Canadian and Josh is Australian. And so we left Canada in November when the minute it was starting to get into winter and spikes and things were getting weird with lockdowns again, we were like, we need to get the heck out. And so we bounced immediately. And I'm so glad we did, because 2 weeks after that, they locked down everything. We can't even get back into Canada if we tried right now. We are completely locked out. So I remember when that all happened, my mom's like, you better get back here right away. And I was like,
Yeah, right? You're like, why would I go back? Okay. I had no idea this was related to like 2020 and everything going on with that. Now I love this story even more. Yeah. So did you sell your house? Did you sell your stuff? Like, talk to me through this.
So we sold all our stuff other than like the 3 suitcases we have here and like my son's car seat and stuff like that. But Josh and I have actually been traveling since we met in 2009. Our last stint in Toronto was the longest we've ever been anywhere. And even then it was peppered in with all sorts of travels. But in regards to 2020, I just really didn't want someone to, I know this is like a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, but both of us, I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, a true challenger. I was like, I cannot have someone dictate what I can do with my life. Totally. And Josh is a 5. And so he's always like, why would we, like, getting all curious. So we were just like, what kind of life do we want? Let's live it no matter what and stay in integrity with that. So we left. This is the 3rd time we've been down to Puerto Rico. We have a ton of friends here. So we're in like an entrepreneur bubble here. It's like entrepreneur college without the school, which is great. So it was actually, we have been trying to move here for years. And then COVID, it's still not open for immigration. So we can't move to Puerto Rico. And then I just think it was serendipity that Caymans came into our world. Someone just mentioned it to my husband on a hike. Like, why are you moving to Puerto Rico? If she's Canadian and you're Australian, why aren't you moving to the Cayman Islands? And we were like, tell us more. And that opened up our whole world into everything that the Caymans has going for it.
Okay. So you guys were able to go to Puerto Rico temporarily, but you can't technically move there, is what they're saying?
Yeah. So we can be here for 3 months at a time.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Okay. So take us back to before all of this and before COVID and before 2020.
Oh, what was that life like?
Yes. What was that life like? Have you always had an entrepreneurial bone?
Yes, for sure. In my 20s, it very much started like I thought I wanted to be a TV broadcaster. And I tried to go to school for TV broadcasting, but my parents made me go to university. In Canada, we have university and college. I wanted to go to college because they had a TV broadcasting program. And they were like, my dad's a principal and my mom's a teacher. And so they're like, absolutely not. You're going to university. And so I just messed around in university really until I could graduate and then go to college for TV broadcasting. And so I spent a lot of years modeling, doing like commercial work, all of that kind of stuff. And during that time, I had an idea to start a web TV show. Now, this is 2006 in the days of MySpace when web TV was not a thing. But I met a producer at a casting agency, and it was the first time, or a casting audition essentially. And it was the first time I had ever been asked, what's one thing you're working on that's really exciting for you right now? And I was like, I'm working on a TV show for women in their 20s called 20 something. And he's like, I'm a producer. Let's talk. And I was like, what? So he introduced me to the world of online. But I never really knew how to like build an audience or get traffic or get sponsors or anything. So me and my girlfriends just like essentially gabbed our faces off, had lots of wine, admitted things I'm so grateful we can erase off the internet because it was 2006. And got it up to like 1 million views though. So that was like my first foray into this. And then from there, I started a travel web TV show, which was bringing me to Australia. And 2 months before that, I met my husband, who's Australian, and we met on a blind date. And he had a software company at the time. And then he was like really my first mentor. He taught me everything. Like he taught me how to write for the web. He taught me how to get traffic. He taught me how to build an email list, content, SEO, affiliate marketing, like everything. And so it's just been a process. We met in 2009. We started our first business in 2012, which was a skincare site. So there's a site floating around with Josh and I testing all these skincare masks and creams and microdermabrasion machines and all this kind of stuff. And that then trickled into Screw the 9 to 5.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I literally had no idea that this was your story. And I'm so glad that we're listening to this. I'm like mind blown over here. First of all, I love that you were just like, oh, I'm going to start my own TV show. Like me and my girlfriend, we're going to start our own like reality TV show.
Dude, I was 25. I had no clue.
Yeah, but like, I think so many people think that. And then they're like, yeah, but who am I? And like, that totally sounds so overwhelming. And how would I even do that? Right. And they get stuck before they even get started. So do tell, like, what gave you the courage to be like, yeah, I'm just going to start my own reality TV show with my girlfriends?
I was 25. I didn't know any better. I'm almost 40 now. And I'm like, oh, okay, I really had the guts to go for that. Like, I was just like, why wouldn't I? I really just did not have, I just believed I could, which is crazy. Like, and then Brett, the producer, came into my world. He introduced me to like internet TV. We struggled so hard to get sponsors. I'm not going to lie. Like no one wanted to touch our show because it was dating, sex, and relationships. And like, I was single for a lot of years, so I had a lot of stories. And I would just freely tell them.
Which is hilarious. They didn't want to touch it then because now that's like what all the reality TV shows are. Yeah.
Dude, I would have killed it if it was now.
You were ahead of your time for sure. So,
but fortunately, I did it when you could erase things off the internet because I would never want that stuff out there now. Like never. I would never admit the stuff I admitted.
So
never.
We can't go watch this show somewhere.
Thank God not. Thank God.
So, okay. So you and your husband start this Screw the 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we started that on our wedding week, or we had the idea for it on our wedding week. We had, like I said, in the end of 2011, I skipped over a step. I started a social media business, which was social media for bars and restaurants while I was in Australia. And then I brought it to New Zealand when we moved there. And then I brought it to Toronto when we moved back to Canada. And so I had it for a good almost 2 years. And if anyone's ever done service work, you're trading time for dollars, right? Like it can be exhausting. And right around the same time, I was getting quite disenchanted with my business. Josh was getting quite disenchanted with his business and he wanted out. And I remember us having a conversation in Toronto in 2011. He's like, what if we start a business together? And I was like, yes, like absolutely. This guy makes so much money and I am trading all this time for money. Yes, I absolutely want to start a business with you. And I was like, great, what are we going to do? And he's like, what if we start a skincare affiliate site? And I was like, sounds great. And then I was like, what's an affiliate site? Like, I really had no clue. And so I just jumped in again, right? Because he knew more than I did about online stuff. And so we built that. We got that rolling, made our first $1,000 in the first month. Just tweak, refined, built that up until it was cranking cash, and then started another one in beauty, and then started another one in personal supplements, and started another one in personal hygiene, then started like individual ones like a microdermabrasion site, and then high heels and health and supplements. And we just went bananas. We had no kids. This is when we could work until we were blue in the face. And we just replicated the process till we had 30 different websites. Not all of them made money. But we were able to move to Thailand and live our best lives as Thailandaires, I like to call it, where you live so well on such minimal money. But as we were really starting to grow and as we were traveling and just doing all these things, people were like, how are you making money? Like, what's going on? You drug dealers not working anymore. Like, what's going on? And so on our wedding week, we were about like 6 weeks away from moving to Thailand at that point. And Josh said, we should start a website to share our story with our parents. They're going to ask about it all the time. We should just start a site. And I was like, I love that idea. What would we call it? And he's like, And then the night before our wedding guests arrive on the balcony having rum because it was in Costa Rica. And I was like, you know what? Screw the 9 to 5. And both of us were like, I wonder if that's taken. And so we searched it. It wasn't. We grabbed it and we sat on it because we had never built a personal brand before. Like we had just had these faceless, nameless sites, right? I went by a pen name. My face was on it. We did like video tutorials and stuff. But outside of that, it wasn't like Jill and Josh, right? So we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And so all of 2013 was spent like ugly crying, feeling frustrated, things not working. We launched a product. It sold 0, like just trying to figure it out. And then launching our first course and it selling nothing and losing us $5,000 was the best thing that ever happened to us because it taught us like the most critical lesson is sell what people want, not what you think they want. What do they think they want? And that was really like we did a sharp left turn and we started teaching what we knew, which was affiliate marketing at that time. And from there, things started to roll. We pre-sold our next course because we learned our lesson on the first one. And from there, like we had our first $8,000 webinar and we're like, what? We just made $8,000 in a few hours. And then just started putting that into, like, we started doing regular Webbies and then opened up a membership site in 2015 called Screw You, which was Screw University, not Screw You, Joy. And from there, things really started to roll for us. We've had hundreds of members. They called themselves Scroopies. In the membership, they called themselves Scramly. They threw us a virtual baby shower. And then we had a tiny human and it all fell apart, which is what brings me to my like rock bottom moment.
Okay. But before we dive into that, because that's definitely something we need to talk about because a lot of moms listening to this show. Mm-hmm. I love that you talked about you spent a year crying, not knowing what to do.
I've spent a lot of years crying. Let's be real.
Failed launches. Well, because up until that point, basically a lot of things that you tried, it totally went. Like maybe it wasn't 100%, but you saw some success. Yeah. I would love to dig into when you were trying to build your personal brand and figure out your personal brand, the process that it takes literally. Like, I feel like I still go through that all the time with like the crying failed 100%. Launches. Like no matter how far along you get in your brand, you're constantly tweaking, you're constantly pivoting 100%. And you get new ideas and they fail. And you keep going. So like normalizing that process more, I think would be huge. So looking back at that year, what would you do differently? Like, what do you looking back now go like, oh, I should have done this and this and this?
One, pick a niche. We didn't. We were like, we're for everyone. We want to help anyone who wants to screw their 9 to 5. It really was super broad. And we were cocky about it. We were like, you know how people say you should pick a niche and niche down till it hurts? F that. We're going general. And it's just like, we were so dumb. So like we were just so cocky about it.
What did you niche down to?
So now we are hyper focused on course creators and coaches.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. But that took us years because we have taught so many things and to like really find our feet, right? Because even when we started Screw You, that was like our tagline was "You belong here." What? Like that's so, again, so general. It's been a thing that we've come up against so many times in our experience with running Screw the 9 to 5 because it never was focused on just one person because the brand name itself would attract so many different people who are like, I just want to screw my 9 to 5. And we're like, come on, let's do it. You know, like we just believe in helping people create freedom. And so we wanted to help as many as we could. And we didn't realize that was actually hindering us from having a bigger impact or the impact we wanted to have, because it wasn't speaking to one person. It was trying to speak to everyone, and therefore we were speaking to no one. And I'm actually surprised, with that being said, that we had as much success as we did as for so many years, because we were so general. But ever since we really narrowed that down, things have really picked up for us. So 1, pick a niche. Absolutely. Target customer. 3, identify an offer. What do they think they need? Not what do you think they need? What do they think they need to get the result they want? Build your first offer around that. 100%. And then if I could give myself advice from, like, if I could give my 2013 version of me advice, it would be like, focus on building a customer list, not a subscriber list. Like, focus on getting customers, not leads. That all in itself, it's all we tell our people now, is stop trying to just get email subscribers, get customers. Customers are the lifeblood of your business. Focus on that. And because of that, your email list will grow, your audience will grow. And the beauty of getting customers, and I know I'm bopping all around here, but it really is, those people remember you. They stay in your world, versus people who sign up for freebies and then they're like, who are you again? You know, they never use your freebie. They have a poor experience, and then they like mark your emails as spam. You know, like it's a different experience when you focus on getting customers.
Ooh, these are such gold tips. I'm over here like writing them down. So how do you tell them to go about getting customers rather than leads?
Okay, so the first piece we do is we always tell people you should have an intro offer, something super low cost that allows you to acquire customers on the cheap. So what can you create? Again, this is like, what do they think they need? What is a quick win you could give someone on a low end scale, $27, $37, something like that, that allows you to consistently essentially buy customers, right? Because you can run traffic to it. You can promote it on your social media. You could promote it on podcasts, all of that in your own content, on your website, all of that kind of stuff. So what can you create that would give them a quick win that you could attach a low end offer or low end ticket price to? That will allow you to weed out those who are not serious or who really just are looking for free stuff, and allow you to build an audience of customers.
And I also tell people it gets people used to paying you.
Yes.
Because you also have to get people
they pay attention.
You.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that you're talking about a low offer, because I think so many people here like get customers and they're like, go for the client. And I'm like, how about go for like a $20 purchase, right? Like, it's something super small. It can be an ebook, right? Like, you don't need necessarily give your ebooks away for free. What do you say to people that are like, oh, but don't you have to have freebies? Don't you have to give stuff away for free?
I just personally think that that's outdated advice. I think that that's the way it's always been done. And that was great for however long it worked. And now we're in the 20s, homies, right? Like, we need to evolve. There will always be people who want freebies, and there will always be people who want to serve through free stuff. I totally get that. We have just drawn a line in the cement. That's not how we want to grow our business. I don't love it. I'm sick of like poor show up rates, poor open rates, lack of engagement, because how many times have you signed up for something for free and done nothing with it? Yep. And it gives you a poor experience with that person because you don't actually use it. And so you're like, that wasn't even useful to me. You know, it's like, because you didn't have skin in the game. Yep. Right. And so when someone has skin in the game, and really it's not about making money off your low end offer. It really isn't. It's about changing the relationship.
Correct.
From audience member to customer.
Yep.
Right. From scroller to buyer. That's it. Because once someone has a great experience with you, once they've actually paid money and they've had a good experience with whatever you're selling, well, now you can upgrade them into higher ticket things, because buyers are buyers. They want to continue buying from people that they trust now, that they know, that they like, that they've had a great experience with. And that trust, like, that's the hardest thing to get initially. Right. And so when you can prioritize that on the front end, like, you couldn't even find a freebie on our site right now. There's nothing. And I'm like, so many people are like, not so many. A lot of people have heard our podcast now, so they're like, oh, okay, we get it. But we used to get a lot of kickback around this. Like, you have nothing for free. That's so greedy. And I'm like, is it though? Because like, I'm here to run a business. And secondly, I actually care about you getting results. And so, yeah, I do want you to have skin in the game because we show up better, you show up better, and everyone gets better results. And so we're just kind of like unapologetic about it.
A podcast is a freebie.
Great point.
Like you have a podcast. I think so many people discount their content. Your content is the freebie, right? Like you showing up doing posts online every day, which you do. I've seen you. Me showing up online every single day, that is the freebie. And this is so interesting we're talking about this because I think people grow resentful of showing up online every day when they don't have the low ticket paid offers and they're constantly having to create a new freebie and new content and new stuff. And then they're like, well, when am I going to get freaking paid?
Dude, I so agree with that. I remember one of our members, Ryan, he has been creating free content since 2016, I believe it was 2016 or 2017. And when I asked him why, he said, because that's what I've always been told I should do. Okay, cool. How many of us can vibe with that? Right? We've listened to all these people who are like, you should create freebies. You should give all this stuff for free. You should do this. You should do that. And he joined our boot camp last year in 2020 and, joined our higher ticket stuff. And he started doing paid on the front. And he posted in our community, this is the first time in 5 years that I've had my business that I've ever made money because I prioritized paid on the front. And I stopped doing free stuff. He was just like elated. He had just had a baby. He was like, oh my God, now I see it. Like I have a process now. I have an offer that makes money versus like offering all these freebies, hoping 1 to 3% of people care enough to convert into something paid.
Oh my gosh, I think we could stay on this topic for forever, but let's move on. So those are your 3 things that you would tell someone or that you would tell your previous self how to get out of that frustration. I think there are a lot of people out there that feel like, you know what, I'm trying, I'm showing up. Like, what is wrong? Why can't I move through this process? Like the process isn't coming to an end for them. What do you think keeps someone stuck there?
Associating a disempowering meaning with that, giving that a disempowering interpretation, making it mean something about you that I'm not cut out for this. I hear this all the time with our members, right? Like customers, people who come into our boot camps, it's anyone who is at the beginning always deals with the same stuff. If it's not working, it means I'm not cut out for this. I'm not smart enough. I must not be able to do this. But that right there, that meaning you are associating with having the trials and tribulations of any entrepreneur is what is holding you back. Because you are making it mean that you do not have what it takes, when really business is neutral. Right? It's not hard or easy. It's not good or bad. It's not highs or lows. It's neutral. And it is the meaning we associate with the meaning we give to something that is giving it the emotion and the emotional charge behind how we feel. And so, yes, it is challenging in the beginning if you choose to look at it like that. Or you could choose a more empowering interpretation, which is like, I'm learning what not to do, or I'm focusing on building the skills. So often I think people think that it just has to be this like fast shot to success. And like, how many times have you seen someone come into this space, blow up out of nowhere, right? And maybe they stick around for a year, maybe 2 years, but eventually they're gone because they don't know how to handle that level of influx, right? Because capacity wise, operationally, energetically, they're not there yet. And so what if instead of like vilifying, I only got 2 people buy, right? Or I only made $2,000 or whatever it is. What happens if we look at that as it is all happening for you?
Right.
And that is a sign of your current capacity limit energetically and operationally. Now you're learning how to handle 2 clients at a time or 4 clients or whatever it is. And so I think just changing the meaning, changing the interpretation can really set you free in the beginning.
Oh, I love that you talk about that, because I think having that previous mindset of like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I can't figure this out, also keeps us out of service of our clients. Because we're making it mean something about us instead of going, hey, clearly this isn't what my client needs. Like, clearly I can learn something here and offer them something better that will help them more. And that way we're making it about them rather than about us.
That's so huge. And I really think a lot of people, I struggled to do that in the beginning. I made it all about me. I really did. Like, I'll own it. Like, all I wanted to do was make money. Because I was like, well, what else are we going to? Of course I want to make money because I need to live, right? And so our focus was solely on us and not on service. But when exactly like what you're talking about, when you take the focus off you and put it on other people, well, now you show up even bigger and better for them because you're like, I'm just here to help.
How do you help someone, or how would you tell the previous version of you, right? Who is in that place where you're like kind of desperate because you need some money. Like, this is the hardest thing that people struggle with when I coach them, right? Is they're like in this desperate place. They do need money, but they also know that if they show up that way, they're repelling their clients. They're repelling 100%. Their success because they're making it all about them. So the hardest thing they have is getting out of that energetic state and mental state, even though their physical circumstance hasn't changed. How do you tell people like how to flip that?
Yeah, it's clingy first date energy, right? Like, you are being a clingy first date with money when you show up like that. And you're right, money runs away from that. It's like, what? Why is this chick texting me already? I just dropped her off, right? Like, that's the energy when you're focusing on like, I need to make money. 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 Because when you are in that state, all you are focused on is the fact that you are not making money. And so many people think, no, I'm thinking about what I want. And I'm like, no. If you actually think about it for real, you're focusing on the not having of it. And I know it sounds so wonky because people are like, well, how else am I supposed to get to where I want to go? And I'm like, it's like a mind bender. I understand that. And I get so much pushback around this because people are like, that's not realistic. I can't actually detach from wanting money. But it's in that, like, again, going back to like making it mean something about us if we're not Oprah rich right away. And if you really are that hard up for money, then you need to get a part-time job or take care of things financially. Like, don't be irresponsible, right? I'm not here to be like, max out your credit card and take loans and all that. Like, I really don't believe in that, right? I really believe in getting scrappy, being resourceful, solving problems. And if you need to, in the beginning, do one-on-one work. Absolutely. It's the easiest thing to sell. It's the highest ticket thing you can sell in the beginning. And it allows you to work directly with someone so that you can work out your content. You can help people get results, which will turn into case studies, which will allow you to get more people into your programs. And then from there you can build. But it's all about, I think a lot of people focus on step 17 when they're at step 1. Yep. And all you need to do in that instance is focus on step 2. You know what I mean?
So good.
It's like the anxiety is putting ourselves in the future and trying to control the outcome, but you can never control the outcome. The only thing you can ever control is the action you take.
Yep. And I love that you said, get another job, get something that will pay you. I've told people that before, like, while you're developing the skills of selling yourself, like if you can remove the pressure of needing to sell yourself by utilizing some skills you already have, where you're like, I could go get a job, or I could do this for money, and it's like no brainer for you, do it, because then you don't have the pressure of, I need to sell myself, right? It'll be so much easier to develop the skill. So
can I just quick say, because in that moment when you operate from that place, you're making decisions out of financial desperation, and that's never a good place.
No.
Yeah.
So how do you tell someone, what are your best tips for selling one-on-one, for getting one-on-one clients?
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously you have to be on a call, right? Like 100% be on a call. And I always think it's best to give quick wins, like not too much so that they're like, sweet, I'm good. I've made that mistake so many times and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
But really like agitating that gap, right? Where they are versus where they want to be. And typically that comes from you talking about what and why, what they need to do and why it matters. And then your coaching, your service is the how, or your program is the how. And I'm all for, I call them decision support calls. In the beginning, I'm all for doing all the decision support calls you possibly can to get customers or clients working with you so that you can figure out what is the best way I can get someone results. Cool. Now I've figured out that like my process or my framework or my content, how can I replicate this and make it not just this one, little unicorn who got results? How can I duplicate this over and over? Cool. Now, how can I turn that into a scalable offer? Whether that's group coaching, a mastermind, a course, whatever it is, a sales funnel, something like that. But I think there's power in starting small. I really, really do. I really believe that.
Oh, I always tell everyone start with one-on-one clients because you'll learn to sell and you'll start getting experience. Those are the two things that you need. You need selling and you need experience.
And I also think now that we're talking about this, one thing I should have said there is like, how do you close someone? You have an offer stack. Like you stack out your offer. So it's not just like you get 12 calls with me. What? Like you have to, and you also get, and this matters because, and on these calls, we'll do this, right? You have to explain like why that stuff matters. And if there's any kind of bonuses that you can offer, which doesn't have to be your time. Right?
That's your freebies.
Yes. Yeah.
There's your freebies. They go to your clients that sign up.
That's my kind of freebies. Yeah. But even if I'll also retract that, even if it is your time, as in like you get 30 minutes of Oxer access a week or whatever it is, right? Just stuff that's like icing on the cake that makes things a no-brainer for people. Stack out your offer and have bonuses. And
tell them why it's important. I love that part. That's like explaining the process. And I call that like building the bridge, showing them where they are. And like, you're like, here's the process that's going to get you to here.
Yes.
Right.
I love that.
Well, let's dig into your rock bottom moment.
I was going to say, like, I wonder if we're going to get to that rock bottom moment.
We'll make it an abbreviated version.
Okay. So when I mentioned that we had a membership site, so we started our membership site in 2015 and it was great. And for years, it was all we did. And it was really how we kind of came onto the map. Our people called themselves Scroopy and Scramly, and they came to our live events and like we had mix meetups and like we had like this campus where we all co-worked together. Like it was crazy. And it was great. Like is making $330,000 a year or so. Like it was doing well. And then we had our son, and he, like right before I had him, I remember I was in Port Moody, BC in Western Canada. It was February and I was on the floor of my closet, ugly crying because I felt so trapped in our business because they called me Mama Jill. I was always available. I had no boundaries. I had this crushing fear of judgment that I would let people down if I wasn't constantly available, constantly getting them results like it was on me, and just like constantly on for people. And I remember just this like overwhelming sense of dread being like, how am I even going to be a mom if I can't, I don't even have time for myself? How am I going to have time for my son? Right. And am I really going to raise him in this like vibe of just stress and money worry and like not really connecting with my husband because we're both so freaking miserable in what we're doing, and him coming into our lives, like it was the first time we had ever given ourselves a break. I mean, this is so sad to say, but I'm just going to own it. I only took 9 days off of maternity. I don't even want to call it maternity leave. Let's not even call it that. It's 9 days. Like it was like a poor excuse for maternity leave because I felt like I couldn't. Because I had messages from people being like, when are you coming back? And I know that they weren't like, they didn't have ill intentions. Yeah. I had trained that. I allowed that level of like, oh, I have no life, you know?
Right.
And so I only took 9 days off. And for the next, like from March till June, we were just in this fog of unalignment. Like it was just miserable for us because we couldn't figure out what was off. That was the mind trip for us. We were like, what is wrong? Like for years, we loved it, right? Like it was like they were our family, right? Like we had such a great relationship. We knew everyone so intimately. They threw us a baby shower. Like they were amazing. Our members were amazing. We had over 800 of them. And so that all in itself was such an emotional roller coaster because we're like, why does this feel like we're dying inside? Why does it feel like we no longer want to do this? And it was in June, we had moved back to Toronto at that point. And Josh said to me, like, what if we close down Screw You? And it was just like, boom, like, what? That's an option? Like because it was making so much money for our business, right? Like we had built a reputation around it. We had all these members. They called themselves Scrambly. Like the guilt I felt in even admitting that felt free to me was just crazy. And so we had to talk about it. We're like, okay, so what would we do? And we kind of had this full circle moment. We went back to affiliate marketing. We took off. We told people in September, we mapped out this whole plan from like July to September. We mapped out what is our execution plan here? How are we going to start replacing our income, right? Because we're making over 300 grand off this. So obviously we have team, we have people we need to pay. Like we're responsible for people. We have a son. Like how can we kind of recoup our revenue? And so we put together this master plan and we told people at our members event to their face, like this will be our last, like we're closing this down for New Year's Eve. And I was sick with anxiety. I was like, oh my God, they're going to hate us. They call me Mama Jo. Like I was so worried that I was about to let down so many people who had been with us. Some of them had been with us since 2015.
Yeah.
Right. Like this was 2018 for context. And it was the most supportive, loving, encouraging experience I could have imagined. Someone stood up. This is so like the university analogy. Someone's like, I feel like mom and dad just told us it's time to move out of the house. And it was just like, there were 2 or 3 people who were like vehemently pissed, like really, really mad, but whatever. Am I going to like live my life for 3 people who are pissed? No. Right. And then we hosted a goodbye party and everyone shared their favorite memory. And in 2019, we closed down everything, every single offer we had. We had no offers. We had nothing that no longer served us. Our free group, that was closed. Every offer was closed. We scrapped everything that no longer felt like it was in alignment with our values or who we wanted to be as parents or who we wanted to be as business owners. And we took all of 2019 off our own stuff to figure out our next plan. And we just promoted affiliate offers. And it was like this beautiful full circle moment for us because it gave us a year of space. And in 9 weeks, we replaced our 2018 revenue because we just made this like, a lot of people thought we were crazy. Joy, I can't even tell you how many people are like, are you guys okay? Like, are you guys sabotaging? Are you going downhill? Like, what's happening?
Right.
Are you all right? But I really feel like the universe rewards bold, brave choices in service of who you want to be.
Correct.
And because we had that clarity, finally, it rewarded us.
I just talked about this on a podcast about how there needs to be more endings in your life and people hold on to things too much and it becomes this huge energy suck. And then you wonder why you're waking up uninspired and unmotivated every single day.
Yes.
And it's because you're holding on to things that you don't actually really want anymore. And so I love that you're talking about this and you were just like, we're just going to go for it. So I'm sitting here like affiliate marketing. You replace that income with affiliate marketing with what? With like your brand? Or like, how did you even do? Yeah.
In Screw the 9 to 5. And we promoted other people's courses through affiliate launches. So our biggest one.
Old email list.
Yep. Like we never got rid of our email list. We kept our email list, our social media, and our podcast. So we kept those assets for ourselves, but we closed down every paid offer and our free groups. We started running pop-up groups. Pop-up groups, like pop-up Facebook groups, are a huge part of our business right now. We love them. We still get to build community. Also, kind of like spoiler alert, we started a new membership. I haven't been in it once, which is like a huge personal boundary win for me. I don't even go into our membership anymore. So we just really intentionally built the business that we felt made sense for us, that aligned with who we wanted to be, that really allowed us to be the parents we wanted to be, the partners we wanted to be, the entrepreneurs we wanted to be, and the humans we wanted to be. And we were unapologetic about it, which as a person who struggled with fear of judgment, like a crushing fear of judgment for so many years, that was like, who am I?
Oh, totally.
Like just stepping into this new version of myself.
Well, and I know like you have to have the breakdown in order to have the breakthrough, and you have to have
100%.
space for the breakdown. And I think where 100%. People struggle is they fight the breakdown, and it's again not wanting to let go. And so like, no, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. I'll do more. Like I've been there, been that person. I still am sometimes, right? And we fight it as opposed to just letting and embracing the breakdown. And I love that you guys took space, and then in 9 weeks. Look what you did because you took the space. Guaranteed you would not have done that in 9 weeks if you had kept trying to push through and push through and push through.
Definitely not. We would have really, really, really struggled with that. And what's funny is I can't remember the exact number, but in 2018, I think our revenue was like, I don't know, 600 something thousand. And then in 2019, off one affiliate promotion, we made 600 something thousand. Like it was just crazy because we were just like, no, we're going to do it our way. Because also, like, our brand is Screw the 9 to 5. And yet we were living out of integrity in a business that felt like a job. And that all on its own was just like such a mind trip for us. I was like, I don't even feel like we're living our message.
Correct.
Right? And so just giving ourselves the permission to change your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was a big thing. And when we finally started talking about it on our podcast, so many people were like, I didn't even know I could change my mind. And I'm like,
no, right?
Me either. But it turns out we're the boss.
Right. Totally.
Right? It's our business.
Correct.
So if you're not happy, it's on you to change it because you are serving no one by being miserable in your business.
Oh, that's going to resonate so hard with some people listening to this. Tell us quickly before we have to wrap up about pop-up Facebook groups. You mentioned that, and I was like, ooh, we should talk about this. What are they? What's the purpose? How do you do them?
Yep. So many things I could go into. So pop-up Facebook group is essentially a limited time, finite, purposeful, intentional Facebook group. So typically they're about 2 weeks. And they are centered around a topic or a promotion. And they are to set the stage for an offer. So this is like an integral part of how we do our launch promotion or our launch and promotions. And so ours are called Course Creators Boot Camps. And every quarter we host a boot camp, and they are essentially the purpose of it. So with a pop-up group, now ours are paid, but a lot of people do them for free. The real win with a pop-up group is you have to have an outcome, right? And so for ours, just to use like a meta thing, ours is design an offer so good it practically sells itself. And so when you come into our bootcamp, you get a 1-page blueprint and we design the offer together. So the name, the price, the promise, what goes into your course, the bonuses, the guarantee, and a badass way to sell it. And so that is the promise of our bootcamp. And we deliver that over 5 days. It ends up being about 6 or 7 once we have pre-party, after party, all that kind of stuff. But the main thing is that they are intentional, finite, and centered around a promotion. And then they have to have an outcome within that time where you deliver a certain result for people. And so they're great because they're hot and heavy. The engagement is high. People are coming in knowing that they are here to achieve this, right? Whatever this outcome is, this transformation. And then it gives you an opportunity. You have a captive audience and you can pitch or sell something. So ours is, we always pitch into, like, our whole thing is we design the offer, and then our offer is we teach how to sell it. And that's our accelerator. And they're great. Like, our pop-up groups, the lowest they've ever converted is like 10%. The highest is almost 19. It was like 18.8% or something like that. And they're just like mad effective. And so the beauty of that is you get to interact and serve your audience in a hyper-focused, hyper-elevated way for a short amount of time. So you come in and you just like over-deliver. Over-promise, over-deliver. That's the real secret sauce of pop-up groups. Like, you promise the world and you over-deliver on that. It's none of this nonsense like under-promise, over-deliver kind of stuff. No. We over-promise because it's noisy in our space. And so you got to get noticed, right? And so we want to bring as many people in as we can and then rock their freaking worlds. And then a key thing we have here is, so we go live every single day. Every day that the pop-up group is open, we're live. So I know a lot of people push back on that because they're like, that's a lot. And I'm like, yes, but it's only 2 weeks. Right. And they're so effective. So you go live every single day. You teach the what and the why. And then you have an action thread every single day that you are teaching. Right. So ours is a 5-day boot camp. Like I said, it ends up being about like 10 days all up with pre-party, after party, and all that. But for those 5 days that we are teaching our content, every single day there's an action thread. So people are implementing what they're learning. So you are helping people get a result and you are holding them accountable. And that not only does it stoke the engagement of your group, which is great because it's a new group, right? So the engagement is high. So you're out in the news feed more. So people are coming in, having a great experience, getting feedback, getting results, and it just sets the stage beautifully for your offer.
Ooh, I love it. So many good takeaways and good nuggets. How much do you guys usually charge for those?
$37. Well, we have a few tiers. We have 37, then we have a order bump of 27. And then we have VIP, which is, I could rave all day about VIP. VIP is $197. It's an additional group coaching call. So we host all our trainings on Zoom webinars. And then our VIP is Zoom meetings, and we do hot seats, we do Q&As, we do breakout sessions, we do micro masterminds. It really is this whole other experience. And our VIP experience converts like, I don't know, something like 25, 27% or something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we didn't even really get to talk about your new offer, your new business.
That's okay.
Tell us really quickly what you're building now and where people can find you.
Yes. So I'm still in Screw the 9 to 5 for sure. It's like my heartbeat for absolutely. But I've also struck out on my own and I've started a new thing called Millionaire Girls Club. And it is luxury retreats for women making $1 million plus who are craving high vibe, badass friendships with women who match their future. And so I have my IG for that is the Millionaire Girls Club. And then my IG for Screw the 9 to 5 is just at Screw the 9 to 5, all spelt out, no numbers. So that's me.
And you have a podcast.
Okay, so technically I do. I have a Screw the 9 to 5 podcast, yes. So that is thescrewshow.com. Sounds like porn, but I promise it's business. Thescrewshow.com. And then I did have one for MGC. However, I read the book Essentialism and it messed me up in all the right ways. And he talks about it in there. He's like, if you could only do one thing, what would it be? And immediately for me, it was luxury retreats. And the women who were listening to my podcast, not yet at least, they are not at the place to join my retreats. And since I'm all about doing things that move the needle, I've decided to take a pause on my podcast for MGC for the time being. And I'm just straight up doing just my mixers, which is like invite only Zoom hangouts essentially, and then my retreats.
Oh, I'm gonna go get that book. I wrote down the name because it sounds awesome.
It'll rock your world. Essentialism by Greg McKeown. So good.
Thank you. I'm gonna go look it up. All right. Last question I ask every guest that comes on is if there's someone out there right now and they're like rock bottom, what would you tell them? Or maybe what would you even tell your previous self if you give her like one piece of advice?
Ask yourself over and over until you have the answer, what do I truly want? And it sounds so like, oh, that sounds cute. But if you do not know what you want and where you want to go, you'll hit it every time. And what I mean by that is you will just move forward aimlessly with no vision, no goals, and no end point, right? And so if you don't know what you want, where you want to go, and why it matters to you, you will just continue to spin in circles. And I truly believe that like alignment is the new hustle. And if you are not finding alignment in your business right now, then you're doing yourself a massive, massive disservice, because alignment is gasoline. Oh my God, Cody, what did he say?
He said alignment is velocity.
Yes. When he said that, I was like, I love you, Cody.
Yeah. How do you know?
Alignment is velocity.
I said it would be my last question, but now I have one more. How do you know if you're in alignment or not?
I always ask myself, does this feel heavy or light? And like truly, you will know deep down, right? Whether you want to admit it or not. Does this feel light? Like, do I expand when I think about it, even subtly? Or do I contract? Do I think up reasons why, oh, maybe it won't work because, or, maybe I would shut it down if, or maybe I wouldn't do it if this happened, right? If it feels heavy, then it's probably your soul being like, please no, please don't do this. And if it feels light, it's like the universe being like, step into it, man. Keep going, homie. And so I'm always saying to myself, does this feel heavy or light? When I made the decision to shut down my podcast, or take a pause, I should say, I just had a like deep core feeling that it felt heavy. Even though I enjoy doing it, I'm like, it just feels heavy for me right now. And so it's an easy no.
What a freeing way to live. What a good question to ask. I love that.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show today. It was so fun chatting with you. We'll for sure have to have you back again sometime.
I would love that.
And everyone,
me.
Oh yes, of course. If you love this episode, don't forget to take a screenshot, share it out on Instagram. You can tag Jill and myself. Tell us what your big aha was, or better yet, tell us what's heavy that you're letting go of in your life so we can cheer you on.
Yes, I love that.
Have an amazing day. Thanks for tuning into the show.